at the end of the show. U-Health brings you the Brewers order.
Well, Domingo Santana playing right field, leading off. Jonathan Villar at shortstop in the 2-hole. Ryan Braun, the home run all-time leader for the Brewers in the 3rd spot. Jonathan Lucroy catching, hitting cleanup. Chris Carter in the 5-hole playing first base. Colin Walsh at 3rd. Aaron Hill at 3rd base, and Ramon Flores in center field.
Wei-Yin Chen, start number 5. Chen in his first season in the National League. 4 years with Baltimore. Had a really nice run, 46-32, an ERA of 3.72, and you see his last time out. Beat the Dodgers, gave up 2 runs. Start before that, he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings against the Nationals.
And right away, you saw a little frustration there on that 2-0 pitch by Chen. Fastball away. A little upset that he was not able to follow through with it.
Domingo Santana for the Brewers. And Santana takes a strike. Jonathan Villar, Ryan Braun. The Brewers in the middle of a rebuild. They sent a lot of their talent to different ball clubs last July and in the offseason as well. A few familiar names remain. Braun, of course. Jonathan Lucroy. Scooter Gennett is on the disabled list. That one is cranked left field deep. That's a rocket, and that's off the very top of the wall. Ozuna picks it up. And a double for Santana. And the Marlins are fortunate that that didn't end up in the bullpen.
Well, he barreled it, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do at 3-2. You know you're going to get a fastball. He got one down in the zone, and this was clotheslined right off the fence. And a great job by Ozuna getting it back, but Derek Dietrich wasn't on the base as he was backpedaling to try to get there.
And so the Brewers have their leadoff man in scoring position. Now Chen faces the switch-hitting shortstop, Jonathan Villar. Villar last night was 0 for 4. And, of course, he had a lot of company on a near no-hitter.
Watch out for the bunt right here from Villar. Loves to bunt.
Chen having trouble finding the strike zone.
Yeah, he has to be able to get ahead in order to keep these hitters off balance. But coaching Villar with the Astros a few years ago, every time there was a runner at second base, really loved to show bunt. Try to push it towards the second baseman. See how Derek Dietrich right there is taking a couple steps in.
There is the bunt. Chen gets the out. And the Brewers are 90 feet away from tying this game. It's a sacrifice, and that gives Ryan Braun an opportunity to get in on the act. Miami defensively, they've been a solid club this year with the glove. Southwest Airlines brings it to you. Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in the outfield. Martin Prado, Justin Bour in the corners. Derek Dietrich getting the start at second. And Dedaney Echeverria back in the lineup at short, and JT Realmuto back behind the plates. And here is Braun, certainly dangerous. 0 for 3 last night, and the Marlins will have their infield back. And Santana at third base and 1 out. Braun coming off an all-star season last year. Hit 25 homers, 27 doubles, and impressively stole 24 bases. He is 32 this year. And so far, this is not the strike-throwing Wei-Yin Chen that the Marlins have seen this season. Braun has delivered this run all 3 times he's been in the spot. Game number 23 for the Brewers. They are 8-14. The Marlins with a 6-game win streak, have arrived at 500 at 11-11. Two and one. On a hop, Dietrich, his play is at first and he makes it. And the Brewers have tied it. Braun drives in the run.
Well, Ryan Braun right there showing his experience in driving in runs, knowing don't try to pull the baseball, hit it to the opposite end. That's what RBI guys do. It's not a coincidence or any luck that they have in driving in runs. Has a game plan and stuck with it. Pitch middle in, didn't try to pull off from it.
Jonathan Lucroy now in the cleanup spot. Brewers catcher Lucroy last night kind of ruined the some of the fun in the ninth as Jose Urena was trying to nail down the no-hitter. He had one out in the ninth, and Lucroy hit a soft pop that landed over the outstretched glove of Derek Dietrich. Adam Conley, 7 2/3 innings. It was fascinating to listen to two interviews last night. Conley's interview was exceptional, and then Don Mattingly on Marlins Live talking about his decision to pull him. And you know, Mattingly talked to us about it today, talking about the pitch count. He was at 116. Had he not walked the hitter in the 7th and not walked a hitter in the 8th, his pitch count probably lower at that point. Mattingly said maybe he would have felt a little bit better about letting him get into the 9th inning.
Well, Don has a responsibility to that young man right there to have a heck of a career, a long career. And the numbers have indicated you leave him out there for a long time, things don't turn out so well in the future. So it's a tough decision, yet it was the right decision in the Marlins' eyes.
One thing he did tell us, though, he said, you know what? If Adam Conley was Wei-Yin Chen, and a veteran that's pitched 5 years in the big leagues, a little bit older, understood his body a little better, he may have reconsidered at that point. Echeverria on to first in time. The Brewers tie the game. 1-1 start here in Milwaukee. Our flashback tonight, go back to April 15th. It's our Geico Brewers moment. A young lefty, Juan Nieves, just his 2nd year in the big leagues. The only no-hitter in Brewers history. The great Robin Yount making that catch in right center field. And Juan Nieves with a little bit of history, but a little bit of caution. And today, I hope you had a chance to watch Marlins Live. Bill Schroeder, the fine analyst here for Milwaukee, was the catcher that night for Nieves, who returns as the pitching coach for the Marlins. And in talking to Nieves, what a special night it was. What a fascinating conversation, especially in the context of last night with Adam Conley being lifted at 116 pitches. Nieves in that no-hitter against Baltimore threw 128 pitches. Now, if ever there was a guy, a pitching coach, that understands protecting a young arm, Nieves is the guy. 87 was his 2nd year in the big leagues. He threw that no-hitter. You saw 128 pitches. He would make 81 total starts in his career. His left shoulder bothered him in the offseason. He said his innings workload, a lot of innings in 87. And that shoulder injured, he pitched but not effectively in 88, and he was done. 3 years in the big leagues. And so when when he's involved in that conversation, and it was Don Mattingly's decision to make, but certainly Nieves had some input in it. He said in talking to Jessica that he felt he paid the consequence of that 1987 season. And that's why he said people are so concerned about pitching now. It is a commodity to have great young pitching.
You know, the Marlins want to be able to go far this season, and in the future they're going to need Fernandez, Chen, and the man that was on the mound yesterday, Adam Conley.
Bouncer to short, call into Walsh, and Echeverria gets some help from Justin Bohr. And Wei-Yin Chen looks much more in rhythm and much more around the plate here in the second inning.
Yeah, that first pitch in the first inning, really, he was struggling to get it over and pitching from behind. But now he's really settled down, throwing that first pitch strike, forcing the Milwaukee Brewers to swing away.
It's funny, I remember Juan Nieves as a starter for the Brewers. I remember watching him as a kid pitch. And when he arrived as the Marlins pitching coach, and I went to look up his major league career, I was stunned that he pitched only 3 years in the big leagues.
3 years. He was an impactful pitcher, though, the first 2 years of his career.
Yeah, pitched in the postseason. Obviously had that no-hitter, and he said the shoulder injury that he had he suffered that injury in this day and age, it probably would have been repaired, and he probably would have been able to pitch and resume his career. To left, and it's hit well. Yelich at the track makes the catch. And Aaron Hill flies out to the warning track. 2-1 Marlins. 3 solo homers on the board right now. Just for men, play like a champ. Last night, Adam Conley pitched like a champ. Beat the Brewers 6-3, 7 2/3, no hit. Walked 4, struck out 7. Career highs for innings and for pitches thrown. One lefty last night, Adam Conley. Another lefty tonight, Wei-Yin Chen. 4-1. Miami on top of the Brewers. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, Wei-Yin Chen says that one of his biggest challenges is still overcoming the language barrier. Chen speaks Taiwanese first. English is his second language. Because of that, I asked JT Realmuto, what has it been like working with Chen? And he says, surprisingly, it's been smooth sailing. He says that Chen knows enough English for him to communicate with him on the mound. If they have a deeper issue, they always make sure to discuss it in the dugout with Chen's translator.
That's a good point. We take it for granted that just because guys are out there on the same team, they can all communicate. And Eduardo, you've been in this situation. You've been teammates with players from all over. Baseball is a universal language. How do you, how do you communicate with somebody where you're not on the same page language-wise if you can't go into the dugout and hash it out with a translator? Out to short, and it's Echeverria.
You have to do your part. You have to do the best. And I played in Japan, and I had an interpreter also, and I tried to use my interpreter as really not, I didn't try to lean on him that much. I tried to also learn the Japanese language, at least learn words to be able to communicate with my teammates, either by hand gestures, whatever it may be, facial expressions, but just being a part of it, spending time with them, not only on the field, but going to lunch. My teammate in Tampa, I had Hideo Nomo, used to go to lunch with him a couple times, try out some of the Korean barbecue, which he liked and I loved also. I love food all around anyways. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to dive in to the unknown culture. And once you're able to do that, you start learning different words. And again, I've been in Puerto Rico seeing a lot of the American players go down there. And it's definitely, to me, curious to see when the Americans go and start learning the language and learning some of the Spanish words.
Chase Anderson strikes out, and there are 2 outs. Hanshin Tigers 2001, was that your season in Japan?
2001 with the Hanshin Tigers, and I know Chen also played in Japan, and he also had to have learned, a lot of the Japanese language, and customs aren't the same, the culture isn't the same, but at the end of the day, he already had a leg up because he had experience playing in a different country.
Top of the order, Domingo Santana. He hit what was nearly a solo homer. Line drive off the top of the wall in left center, and would come around to score on Ryan Braun's ground ball out. That's the Brewers' run. Miami has 4 runs on 6 hits. Chen in that first was behind just about every hitter he faced, but he's cleaned it up since. He's retired 8 in a row.
My biggest question was, I wanted to see him after him running the bases, and so far so good. Aggressive. That just tells you what good a condition he's in right now with his legs.
Full count, 3-2. Milwaukee has lost 3 straight. They are 8-14. Of course, the Marlins riding the 6-game win streak. Brewers in the basement of the Central. And that's a walk. Santana, a 2-out walk. And Jonathan Villar will come to the plate. The Cubs are atop the Central. Chicago postponed today. Wet stuff at Wrigley, the Braves and the Cubs. Pirates are 5 over. St. Louis sputtering a bit. They're 12-11, 5.5 back in the Central. VR swings and misses. Marlins in the East have improved to 11-11 with this 6-game win streak. The Nationals beat the Cardinals in St. Louis 6-1. One of the biggest additions to any contender, kind of an under the radar guy, and as far as additions, it was last year, but he's emerged, and that's Joe Ross. Ross is now 3-0 with a 0.79 ERA.
I watched that game today against the Cardinals, and he was aggressive down in the zone, hitting a lot of ground balls, and that's a great addition right there to the back end of that rotation.
Yeah, if in another month, you might not say he's at the back of that rotation.
No, not at all. But you look at the 2 guys that are at the back end of that rotation, Roark and Ross, both of them just unbelievable. They've been actually carrying that team so far. It's not been the big names.
0-2. VR takes in. Also today, the Mets and the Giants. And the Mets beat the Giants 6-5. Jacob deGrom is now 3-0. His ERA is at a run. And Matt Cain is 0-3. His ERA 7. 1-2 to the Brewers shortstop, and VR fouls it at the plate.
VR now with 2 strikes changes his entire stance. Actually was a lot more open the first 2 pitches that he fouled off. Now see, he made the adjustment with that back foot. Now it's pointing more towards the dugout and not towards first base like we showed. And he's not as open. Spread out.
Fastball. Chen gets him, strikes him out, and the Brewers are done in the 3rd. Miami up 4-1. mammoth one. Now, our pick to click tonight, I had Derek Dietrich, 7 points. Eduardo's banking on Christian Yelich. Jess with Giancarlo is right now in second place at 6 points. Jess, you're feeling good about yourself, aren't you?
I am feeling very good about myself right now. Thank you, Eduardo, for picking Christian Yelich. And hey, Giancarlo Stanton also has to be feeling pretty good himself. You guys mentioned this is his first time back since that horrific incident. I talked to him before tonight's game, and he said that he thought that he was going to think about that in the batter's box, but he figured that he would be fine. As far as the footage of that injury, Giancarlo Stanton has never seen it, and he says, I have no desire to see it. I lived it. I had a front row seat.
Yeah, that was a night we'd all like to forget. And one of the, I mean, to me, as well as Stanton crumpled in the batter's box, the lasting image is the closest person not in uniform to him when he was hit was his father. How ironic. And Stanton said that one of the things that helped him through it all was his father being there and being as calm and collective and not, I mean, he looked in his father's eyes, and he said he drew a lot of strength from that. His dad was not panicked. His dad was calm. Braun sends a line drive into center field. And a base hit. It's a Wei-Yin Chen sitting on a 5-1 lead here. Jonathan Lucroy, Chris Carter, and Colin Walsh are coming up. It seems like all of a sudden everybody in the East is hot. The Mets won again today. They've won 8 in a row. The Phillies are winning right now. They've won 4 in a row. The Marlins are winning right now. They've won 6 in a row.
Just as you mentioned it, the Cleveland Indians tied the Phils.
Breaking ball's a strike. That game midway through. Tied at 3. Braun's at first. Lucroy takes in. Wei-Yin Chen wobbled a bit in the first inning. Was behind many of the hitters in that inning. Gave up a run. He has struck out 2, walked 1. Bouncer to short. Echeverria. Dietrich's turn. That's right on the money. Derek Dietrich turned a double play last night, and he looks comfortable around the bag so far.
Well, he's been working ever since spring training with Perry Hill all over third base, second base. Watch right here. The Danish Echeverria giving him a nice feed, taking his time. Ryan Braun sliding way ahead of time, protecting himself, getting down. See the footwork. Nicely done.
Here's Chris Carter. Carter is a all-or-nothing guy. We talked about him last night. Massive power. Lots of strikeouts, but good on-base percentage. Quicken Loans brings you Rocket Arms. Hits per 9 innings. And the Marlins right now 4th on that list. Nationals and Phillies. I don't know that anybody saw the pitching that the Phillies have coming, or at least this quickly.
Not at all. A lot of hard throwers. Vince Velasquez threw a gem a couple weeks ago, and then after that, they've just been pounding the zone, giving their offense an opportunity.
Full count. Carter last year 24 homers for the Astros. He hit 199, but slugged 427. And he takes inside.
That's the curious case right there of Chris Carter. You had said it strikes out a lot, but he's got a very keen eye for the strike zone as we look at the Brewers box score on the right. Top of the lineup has really done the damage. The bottom so half. This is their second time around. Total of 0 for 5 with a runner on first, and that's Chris Carter.
Jose advising Don Mattingly as he ran through the signs.
You think Jose is trying to tell him, hey, Skip, you wouldn't have taken me out of the game yesterday, would you?
Well, they've had that discussion.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did.
How did that go?
Well, Jose said, there's no way you would have taken me out of the game. And Don Mattingly said, well, I would have told you, do you want to pitch again? And Jose said, well, you would have given me an extra day, right? And Don said, no, I mean ever. And he said, you know, if I let you go to 135, 140 pitches, you just came off Tommy John surgery. What happens if that's the last game you pitch?
I think he's still trying to let him know, Skip, I think I could have been out there. Just give me a day. Okay, 2.
It's like, and he wasn't even the pitcher in that game. He's just playing the hypothetical. One-two, end of the bat. Little roller up the line, and Bohr gets to the bag, and Wei-Yin Chen doing nicely in a 5-1 Marlin lead. Water Street in Milwaukee. Inside Miller Park, it's 6-1 Miami. As the Marlins continue to pound the baseball, they've hit 3 home runs. Derek Dietrich, Giancarlo Stanton, Adeiny Echeverria. And Wei-Yin Chen is rolling along into the bottom of the 5th, and he misses up to Aaron Hill. Chen trying to follow in the footsteps of Adam Conley, who picked up the win last night after 7 2/3. And Chen has been able to get deep his last 2 times out, pitching into the 7th in Los Angeles in beating the Dodgers, and through 7 in his loss to Washington. And a lot of contact like that. Off the barrel type contact. Hill is out number 1, and it brings up Ramon Flores, the Brewers center fielder. It is 6-1 Miami. It very easily could be 12-1. The Marlins have left 10 on base.
Giancarlo, even with that home run, he hit it with no one on, has left the bases loaded twice already.
Hard to fault him on the last out, though.
Oh, that was a rocket.
It was probably 110 miles an hour on a hop to the shortstop. And the exit speed on his home run was almost at 117 miles an hour. StatCast had it at 116.8. And that is the second fastest exit on a home run this year. I believe Stanton has the fastest exit speed, regardless of whether it was a home run, on a single this year.
So who was it? Was it Carlos Gonzalez? I think it was 117.4, I think it was.
Carlos Gonzalez, Carlos Gomez.
Carlos Gonzalez.
Gotcha. You are the only analyst I know that gets notes and statistics on his watch. There's a liner, and Prado has got it. I'm not telling. Look. Can we shoot the booth right now? Here we are calling a major league game, and you use everything you've got. You've got a scorebook here. You've got media guides, iPad, and look at this guy.
Right here. Zoom on in, big guy. There we go. Showing everything.
I mean, he's got spray charts. He's got his old Houston Astros defensive shift stuff.
Got the app on, watch. The app on, the whole thing. You need something right here. Right here.
How long does that thing stay charged over the course of a game?
I have to charge it every night.
That's what I thought.
They lied to me. They told me every 2 days, not the way I use this bad boy.
Expertly played by Prado.
He funneled it all the way in, though. Yeah. Perry Hill very happy. See, he's even saying it right there.
The Marlins, of course, started last year. They still, when an out is made, whether behind the plate or out in the field, throw the ball to Prado. And there's a lot of people, especially with a strikeout for the third out, feel like the catcher forgot how many outs there were because whether it's Real Muto or Mathis, they'll fire it down to third like they're throwing it around the horn. But it is a salute and a tip of the cap to Prado, who's their leader. Into right. Stanton is there. Let's see if Stanton throws it down into Prado. Got to get it to Prado. And he's on his way with the ball to give it to a kid. 6-1, Miami. Did you get that inside information?
Oh, man, that was so much fun. Oh, this is great. Oh, you have to know people.
If you thought that was bad, folks, that's right.
You have to know people.
It appeared on your watch before the race.
You scout him right here, right on the watch.
If you thought that was bad, folks, you should have heard him when it was live.
Oh.
That was our Cricket Wireless reason to smile. Wei-Yin Chen, bottom 6.
If you're a Marlin fan, you have to be smiling at the score right there.
Liner to right. Stanton, did he get it? Yes. Tony Randazzo, the second base umpire, says catch. Stanton, an athletic slide.
Great adjustment. He broke back like 3 steps and then came back in.
And Domingo Santana is out. Number 1. You can see the ball.
It's a great adjustment.
There's Jonathan VR. Ryan Braun will follow. Wei-Yin Chen in the 6th. 7-1, 11 hits for Miami. The Brewers have just 2. Last night, the Brewers were nearly no hit, though they did rally for 3 runs in the 9th. Here, that first inning run is all that they've got. The reputation of Wei-Yin Chen in Baltimore was steady and effective. And a fastball at 91. He strikes out VR. 2 outs here in the 6th. Season ticket plans for Marlins baseball start at just $6 a game. Half-season plans, 3 great 20-game mini plans. All season tickets include entry into the Fish Family Loyalty Program and guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park. Go to marlins.com/season tickets. So a run on 2 hits. Chen, the beneficiary of 4 home runs. And he sits at 83 pitches near the bottom of the 6th inning. It would be nice if the Marlins can keep this margin to win the game. Big day tomorrow. Ryan Braun bobblehead Sunday. If the Marlins can keep this margin, then they might be able to rest a few key arms in the bullpen. A.J. Ramos is probably off limits tonight.
Probably? It's very nice of you.
Well, you know why? Because
that's very nice of you.
Don Mattingly said not going to use him. I asked Ramos, I said, hey, so you're probably have the night off? He said, well, don't say that.
That's a pitcher mentality.
Right. He said, don't say that.
No, but the smart move is, yes, he does have the night off. And you would have hoped that he would have had it yesterday also with a 6-0 no-hitter going into the last inning, but he had to come in and close the door down.
Braun on a hop. Dietrich gets the out. Wei-Yin Chen has been spectacular tonight. 87 pitches, 6 innings, a run on 2 hits, 7-1 Miami. That just didn't look right. And now there are 2 Batmen. And there's Batman. I like Barrel Man. I mean, if I had to pick a superhero, I would go with Barrel Man. He
Can't
does
handle
not
the bat, though.
He does not fight crime, but he quenches any thirst. It's a superpower. Look it up on your watch. Here's Lucroy with Chris Carter and the pitcher spot due up, and Wei-Yin Chen venturing into the bottom of the 7th inning. Ryan Braun has a single. Domingo Santana has a double, and that's it against Chen. Misses in with a fastball. Three strikeouts, couple walks. The run was earned back in the 1st. South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for the series finale tomorrow, 1:30 start. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano in studio. The Tom Kohler start. Two. So a lot has happened to Wei-Yin Chen. In fact, for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, he had his first major league hit. The ball was taken out of play. I'm sure it was placed in a safe place.
Not for long.
No. Well, the official score gave the play an error to begin with, then changed it to a hit, and then changed it back to an error. And in all honesty, it was an error.
It was an error, fielder's choice, anything but a hit, but they really played with his emotions. It's an emotional game, man.
Liner into right center field. And Lucroy.
Great job by Giancarlo. Great job cutting that off. I think it's time for one of those Chevron promos.
You want to read it?
No, it's all on you.
Next, Chevron Crazy 8. Sure, you'll do the lineups, but not the Chevron promo, huh?
I'm consistent.
Marlins and Diamondbacks. It's a Crazy 8 night at 7:10. You can fill your car up with Techron gasoline and bring the receipt to the Marlins ticket office. Choose between 2 Lexus Legends level tickets or 1 home plate box ticket. Just $28. Chevron Crazy 8. Chris Carter. 94 pitches in is Wei-Yin Chen. Off-speed pitch, and it's 1-1.
Feed off his aggressiveness right there. What off-speed. CC, Chris Carter trying to cheat a little bit out front.
Chen thought he had a strike. Carter kind of fits the mold of Milwaukee Brewers past. The Brewers always seem to have guys that can absolutely rake, and right-handed hitters like that. You think about Rob Deere.
Gorman Thomas too, right?
Yeah, Gorman Thomas.
He was here yesterday.
He was part of Harvey's Wallbangers. I mean, all you got to do is look at the box score from the no-hitter that Juan Nieves threw. Yeah, that's the original Seattle Pilots. They moved here after the '69 season. Got him. Carter goes down. That Brewers lineup: Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Glenn Braggs, Cecil Cooper, a young Dale Swaim, lefty bat in Greg Brock. Of course, we told you that Bill Schroeder, the Brewers analyst on television, was the catcher. Little Jim Gantner was the left-handed bat. That was the '82 team. There's Bill Schroeder, terrific analyst, and a really nice job on the interview with Juan Nieves as those two relived that no-hitter, the only no-hitter thrown by a Milwaukee Brewer. And still the only no-hitter thrown in this ballpark was in a game that didn't even involve the Brewers. It was the Astros against the Cubs. Carlos Zambrano no-hit the Astros. They had to play the game because of a hurricane. They had to evacuate their ballpark down in Houston. Not just one of the oddities of last night's ball game, plus the fact that the pitching coach for the guy attempting the no-hitter threw the only no-hitter in Brewers history long before they got to this ballpark. Left center field, hit pretty well. Ozuna has it at the track, and that's going to chase the runner back. Juan Nieves. Oh yeah, Eddie Murray. That was a pretty good Baltimore team. Yount made the catch that helped seal the deal. And that's it. Since 1970, the only Brewers no-hitter. That Baltimore lineup that night had Cal Ripken Jr., Eddie Murray, Fred Lynn, Ray Knight, Lee Lacy, John Shelby. Rick Burleson was at second base. Fouled back. Some of the other sluggers in Brewers history: Greg Vaughn. Talked about Gorman Thomas, Rob Deere. From the other side of the plate, Prince Fielder, of course, Cecil Cooper. How about George Scott, John Jaha? Richie Sexson had some big years in here.
Yeah. Before going to Seattle.
46, 45, and 45. Ben Ogilvy had a 41 home run year. This is Aaron Hill. Hit hard and by Prado. It takes a strange bounce. Yelich played it perfectly. And that's going to keep the runner, Jonathan Lucroy, at third base.
Well, down 7-1. No reason to send Lucroy right here. Nice job of hitting. But it ricochets right there. And Christian Yelich played that perfectly. Reason being, during batting practice, you start reading the balls off the bat and you notice down the line where that could happen. So he was waiting to see if it would hit off the corner, and it did. Keeping the runner now at third.
So Hill has doubled. There's 2 outs. Chen trying to get through this inning. He's got center fielder Ramon Flores. Craig Breslow is ready. And Don Mattingly on his way out. He's going to go to Breslow. So Wei-Yin Chen, 105 pitches in, is on his way out. But with a 7-1 lead, another terrific start for the Marlins. West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. Kohler's win against the Dodgers was one of perseverance. He struggled in that first inning. He was up against Clayton Kershaw, fell behind, and then all of a sudden his ball club rose up and had a huge inning against Clayton Kershaw. Ramon Flores, a 24-year-old Venezuelan, swings and misses. Craig Breslow with 2 outs and 2 on. Flores just 6 for 44. He sends one into shallow left center, and it falls for a hit. It falls between Echeverria and Ozuna. And that's a 2-run single. And just like that, the Brewers are within 4.
Right here, no man's land, the Bermuda Triangle, just right between all 3. Adaney giving it all he had. Christian looking down and seeing where Adaney was. No reason to slide right there. One thing the Marlins do know, because of yesterday being up 6-0 in the last inning, they know this is far from over.
Hernan Perez.
This kid was putting on a show in batting practice. The sound of the bat, the sound of the ball coming off the bat, completely different than everyone else in his hitting group. Just a higher pitch. Very good hand strength that Perez has. Quick bat through the zone.
Brian Morris in Miami's pen. The Brewers last year, 68-94. The odd part of that is you go back to 2014, and the Brewers were in first place in September, the start of September. They went 9-17 down the stretch, and they finished 2 over at 82-80. So they weren't that far away at the end of 14, faded. Really scuffled last year, and that's when they decided to pull the plug and rebuild.
Well, they're rebuilding completely. The analytics department, which was non-existent here, having to catch up now with other organizations. The minor league system. You want to build a winner, you do it through your farm system. Load up, do well internationally, also with the draft, get the players, and then be able to develop them. And the ones that don't get up here, those are your trade baits to be able to bring in those pieces to create a winner.
Here's a 2-2. Center field, hit deep. Ozuna back at the wall. And it's gone.
That's what I was talking about Hernan Perez's strength. Very strong hands, and the show he put on today in batting practice was very similar to that blast he hit right there. All of a sudden, the Brewers have made this into a 2-run game with a 4th spot in the bottom of the 7th. Watch where this pitch is, down in the zone. Hits it out front. And Osuna, trying to do his best, wasn't able to get there. This kid is strong.
And you could see it hit well above the yellow line, which is on top of the wall. Brian Morris comes in, and all of a sudden this game is completely changed here. A West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. The Brewers are within 2 and a lot of baseball left. A bloop and a blast. And with both those swings, 4 runs have come across. Craig Breslow pacing in the dugout. He gave up the bloop to Ramon Flores. That knocked in 2. And then the blast to Hernan Perez, a 2-run homer. And the Brewers have made up a lot of distance in those 2 swings. 7-5 now, top of the order. Still in the 7th. And this is Domingo Santana, who's doubled, lined out, and walks. And Brian Morris with a slider for a strike. Morris tied with 4 others for the most appearances in relief. And Breslow continues his pacing. I mean, it's a cruel game. He made a good pitch to Ramon Flores. The ball just landed behind the shortstop, Adeiny Echeverria. Not a great pitch to Perez. But if Flores' ball is hit in another spot, he's out of the inning and he never has to face Perez.
I have a friend named Randy Burdett that in college used to always tell me if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And that was the big if. It wasn't hit there. And unfortunately for him, this game is a 2-run game right now. Santana really shows a lot of discipline at the plate. Tough pitch to lay off, and he was able to hold back on it. See right there, that's the same pitch that got Giancarlo Stanton out. Right where that 5 spot is. Difference was one was a fastball, this one was a breaking pitch. And a good one. Yes.
Yeah, he went. And the inning is over, but not before the Brewers come racing right back into the game. With 4 runs, it's 7-5 Miami.